Hey everyone, this is Phil, and I will be doing a one-segment review on the MoYu HuanYing 3x3. This is the 3x3 I have on the screen right now. HKNowStore sent this to me as part of a testing program they were running on speedsolving.com. They were soliciting for testers, and I applied for one, and I got this cube, along with, I believe, 9 other people. So check out their reviews also. I'm sure if you search MoYu HuanYing on YouTube, you'll find other reviews. This will just be my opinion, and I'll show you guys the pieces and what I think of the cube. After this segment, I will also show you some solves so you can see this cube move in action. So to start off, let's take a look at the pieces. So I'm going to actually take out more pieces so you can see the core. The core is really interesting because it's red, and it looks like a core from either a Type D or a Diansheng cube. And it's really interesting because those cubes are from way back in 2009, and so this was very, very surprising because I saw the cube and I was like, oh yeah, I've seen that before. And of course, the centerpiece also looks more old-fashioned because it's very simple in design, and it doesn't have all those fancy arcs and angles and shapes like the Dian design. So it's very interesting and refreshing to see something so simple. And of course, the better the cube moves, the more interesting it becomes because the design is so simple, but the cube is so good. But I'll get into the cube later. As you can see, there's a lot of open space on the inside, and that's because the corner piece is concave over here at its base, and so it gives the feeling that there's a kind of a spherical pocket of open space in here. It's really, really interesting to look at. So if you do buy this cube, I suggest just taking out a few pieces and just admiring the cool open space you have on the inside. It's really awesome. And they didn't even bother to hide the strange corner stock design. It's just protruding from the tip of the corner, and you can see it's just panels of plastic molded together. And this, I think, really helps contribute to the low weight of this cube. This cube is very, very light, and the missing plastic here is definitely a good way to reduce the cube's weight. Of course, it looks kind of weird, but when it's in the cube, you just, you don't see it, and you just see it as a normal cubie, so it's not really an issue. This is the edge piece, and this is a solid cubie, and it has a very interesting kind of rectangular tab here, and this acts like a torpedo, except it's shaped differently than a torpedo. This shape is more flat, and it has more surface area across, so it's wider across than a torpedo, so there's a lot more contact. So the pieces fit together like this, and the corner fits underneath this tab over here, and it slides like this. And you can see that the corner piece, this area right here, is in constant contact with the tab, and this gives it much more contact than a Dian, which it's kind of rounded, the torpedo, and the torpedo kind of truncates down. This is just a flat out tab, so it's always touching like this. And this tab is much bigger than a torpedo, which I really, really like because it looks like it's going to function more, and it also makes it harder to lose. So if you've ever lost a Dian torpedo before, you will have a much harder time losing this. So I was very happy with that. So I'm going to put this cube back together again, and we'll take a look at how it corner cuts and moves. So let's do that. All right, so I have this cube at pretty tight tensions. I felt that if the cube was too loose, it would have stability problems. So I tightened it, and it cuts corners pretty well. Almost line to line here. Line to line is a little awkward just because my cube is so tight. I'm sure if you loosen it, it'll get much better. Reverse corner cutting was the factor that really surprised me. It goes more than half a piece and almost line to line. It's kind of scary. Of course, you don't need that in a solve, but it's just really impressive how this cube does it, especially given its simple construction on the inside. I was very, very surprised that such a simple centerpiece design just could produce such an awesome result. So this cube is definitely very, very unique, very, very interesting, and it's especially interesting given that it's a modern cube and not something from 2009, which is what the insides kind of look like, minus the tab and the corner piece. So this cube is pretty loud. You can hear it's very, very quick and very easy to move. There's very little turning resistance. And when you combine that with the really good corner cutting, it really feels like you're not moving very much because it's so light. I was very surprised by this because I felt so much contact on the inside because, you know, the pieces were rubbing against each other. The cube is loud, which shows that pieces are hitting against each other. But despite that, it was very, very good to see that the cube didn't suffer from that. It moves very, very well, and the lockups are very, very rare. One thing I did notice is that the corners twist very easily, like super easily. Of course, you can kind of mitigate that by tightening the cube, but sometimes, you know, it happens when I'm scrambling. Not so much when I'm solving, because when I'm solving, my turns are very organized. It's just RU and LU. But when I'm scrambling, I'm trying to, you know, just get every face and try to scramble as quickly as possible, and that happens sometimes, but that rarely occurs in solves, and I'm really happy about that. Aside from that, you can see from the outside, it looks like your typical modern 3x3. It has these holes, which are pretty apparent. They're pretty big, and they're also pretty deep because I'll show you the piece right here. It's missing plastic, the corner piece, so you can kind of see on the inside. It's really, really deep, and so, you know, it looks like a modern speed cube, but it doesn't necessarily exactly perform like one because it's so different. It's really loud and clacky, which is a quality I associate with older cubes, but nonetheless, this cube is very, very nice, and we're very excited to see what the consumer version will be like. Speaking of the consumer version, this is, as a reminder, this is just a prototype. The consumer version will be out very, very soon. I think HKNowStore already has it. My store, thecubicle.us, will be getting it later today. This video is being recorded on Thursday, the 23rd, I believe, and if not today, then it'll come in later this week, tomorrow, or the day after. And so we're very excited to offer this cube, and we're very excited to see what the consumer version will be like. And you know, we're interested in seeing whether or not they changed anything, or you know, how the regular stickers look on this cube. These are just stickers I put on so that I could solve the cube. They didn't come with stickers, the prototype. So we're very excited to see what this cube is like. Many people who have this cube already you know, they're already considering making it their main, and so this is just another cube that's out there to compete with the Zanchi. I don't think it will ever replace the Zanchi definitively, but this cube has very different characteristics, and it makes it very enjoyable to solve, and I think people who like the qualities of this cube will be more attracted to it than a Dian, which does not offer this loud, clacky, crispy feeling. So definitely, if you're interested in that feeling, or just a nice moving 3x3 that with a really interesting combination between, you know, a unique and old school design, check this cube out. It's called the MoYu HuanYing, and it's available at HKNowStore and also soon the cubicle.us. Let's check out some solves.